Hi everybody. So this is 6-4 notes. If you haven't went and watched the video, The True Cost of Home Buying, that's connected in Canvas, go ahead and do that before you begin this video. So the outcome for today is to calculate prepaid interest for a particular time, and then to also compute payments towards principal versus interest. One of the biggest concerns for prospective homebuyers is the upfront costs that are needed to get into the home. Along with coming up with a down payment, there are additional closing costs, fees for your realtor, their realtor, the title company, the lending institution, and state are just a few of the costs you will need to make sure you are aware of before you sign. One additional fee you may incur that most people don't realize is prepaid interest. Since you might not sign on the first of the month, there is interest that accumulates from when you sign till you make your first mortgage payment. If you watched through that video, it actually talked about a few of the initial costs for home buying. So for instance, not only did they have to put a down payment down, but they also had to get an appraisal and a home inspection. Those are required to get a home loan, like it says there. So that's not an option. If you're buying a home, you have to get those actually done, and then closing costs at the end. So go ahead and answer those questions and watch that video if you haven't done that now. Okay, now for 6-4. What is prepaid interest? Prepaid interest is interest. Let me go ahead and write this. There we go. Accumulated from the day of closing to the first mortgage payment. Okay, so you're taking care of that interest between the time you take over the home until you pay for your first mortgage payment. Here's our first example. Leah and Josh are buying a $600,000 home. They have been approved for a 7.25% APR mortgage, which is very high. So hopefully when you guys buy your home, it's not quite that high. They made a 15% down payment and will be closing on September 6th. How much should they expect to pay in prepaid interest at the closing? So to figure out our prepaid interest, first I need to figure out how much did they put down? Well, if they put down 15%, 15% as a decimal is 0.15. So to figure out their down payment, we're going to take 600,000 times 0.15 to get $90,000. And that's a one-time payment. So they came in, they put down 15%, which is $90,000. That's our down payment. So let's say that. Okay, after their down payment, they put in, or what they had left over. So to figure out what they now have left over to pay, we're going to subtract what they already put down. And we're going to figure out that their loan amount that they have to ask the bank for is $510,000. Okay, if they closed on September 6th, you're going to have your first mortgage payments usually on the 1st, okay? So September, October, they're going to pay their first payment on October 1st. With that being said, that means from September 6th to October 1st, they're going to have 24 days of interest that they're going to need to cover. to calculate the interest, we first have to figure out our annual interest rate. Annual meaning once a year, because that's the information that it gives us. It tells us that our APR, our annual percentage rate, is at 7.25%, which is 0.0725 as a decimal. Okay, and I know that my loan amount is $510,000, so I need to take $510,000 times that is 0.0725 to figure out my annual cost, which is $36,975. Okay, that's what I'm paying every single year. So I'm only going to pay an additional 24 days. To figure out what I'm paying daily, so that way I can total the 24 days, I need to divide that by 365 days, which gives me that every day I'm going to be paying $101.30 for this interest for this property. Okay, but that's over the course of 24 days. So if you take that and you figure you're going to pay that for 24 days, you can expect closing costs to be around $2,431.20. That's going to be your prepaid interest. Okay? Okay, let's go ahead and go to example 2. How much will be charged in prepaid interest on a $400,000 loan with an APR of 6% that was closed on December 17th? So it doesn't talk about a down payment. So my down payment is $0, which means that my loan is $400,000. The APR is 6%. So to figure out my annual interest, I'm going to take my $400,000 and multiply that by my 6%, which is 0.06 as a decimal. And that's going to give me 24 grand. So over the course of a year, I'm going to be paying $24,000 in interest. If it's December 17th, I need to figure out if I'm paying on January 1st, how many days is that in between those two dates? We should get 14 days is in between. Okay, since there's 31. So to figure out daily, I'm going to take that 24,000 divided by 365 and get approximately $65.75. That's per day. And I need to pay for that for 14 days. So now I need to multiply my 65.75 times 14. And that's going to give me my prepaid interest that I'm going to owe, which is $920.50. Okay? That's how you find prepaid interest. That's part of your home loan when you buy it, or your closing costs. So that's before your first month's payment. If you remember, early on in a loan, more of your monthly payment just goes towards interest rather than towards principal. We have talked about this, but it's been a while. Because the amount you owe is high, more interest is accumulated, and therefore more would need to be paid. Toward the end of the loan, the amount you owe is low, so less interest is accumulated. Therefore, in the end, more of your monthly payment goes towards your principal rather than your interest. So here, it's giving us our two formulas that we've already dealt with. This one shouldn't look like this on your paper. That should be underneath or in the denominator. But it talks to us about our monthly payment and then our interest that we accumulate. So, Trudy and Tom have been approved for a $300,000 15-year mortgage with an APR of 5.75%. How much of their first monthly payment will go to interest and principal? To figure this out, you first have to figure out, I can do both. So I can find my interest rate, but to do that, let's go ahead and look at the principal. We have $300,000. The rate here is 5.75%, which is 0.0575. And then T is equal to 15-year loan. So if I plug that in my calculator here, I get M equals P is 300,000 times my rate, 0.0575, divided by 12, another open parenthesis, 1 plus open parenthesis, 0.0575, divided by 12, close with 2, to the power of 12 times 15. Click enter if you remember this from last class. And then you also have to divide it by the bottom. So 1 plus open parenthesis 0.0575 divided by 12, close with 2, to the power of 12 times 15. Make sure you arrow right, and then there's a big -1 at the end. And click enter. And then divide those two numbers, and you should get $2,491.23. That's your monthly payment. At this time, if you need to stop this video and do that yourself, so that way you can double check to make sure you're doing it right, I would do that now. To find your overall interest, we're going to use my formula, P times R divided by 12. So P is 300,000 times my R, which is 0.0575, divided by 12. And that's going to give me $1,437.50. That's being taken away. So the question was, how much of their monthly first monthly payment will go to interest and principal? So this is the amount that's going to go to interest. To figure out principal goes towards this $300,000. If your monthly payment is $2,491.23, and you subtract the interest, $1,437.50, you're going to find that only $1,053.73 is going to your principal. So it's not a lot, and it's going to take a while to pay this off. But yeah. Okay, guys, that is 6-4 notes. And then go ahead and finish your homework in class today. See ya.